Hello, and thank you for joining our career talk, Getting RPA Professionals Closer to the University Campus. My name is Vladimir Deliu. I manage the global operations for Academic Alliance at UiPath, and I'll be the moderator for this session today. You will learn from Andreas Obermair, Ebert, Knol, our UiPath MVPs, and also Jacqui Muller, both an MVP and a lecturer. They will share more on how they inspire students to pursue a career in automation and their courses. Thank you for being here with us today, first of all. Cool. So I'll start with Jacqui, I guess. You have a day-to-day role, but you also choose to inspire students, meeting them, having sessions, mentoring, all this happening in their campus. What's the main value you get in the interaction with the students when you talk about RPA and automation?
I think it's an interesting one. What I've definitely come to learn from students is that they're very easily excitable. So they're very keen to learn new technologies. They're very keen to learn about new things happening in the industry, and they're trying to essentially find a way to position themselves in the market and in the industry that we work in. So by presenting things like UiPath and automation and RPA, it's a really good way for them to understand how they can provide value back. And it's really easy to learn as well. So something I've really, gained from understanding is to see how students innovate, how they use these technologies to actually change their day-to-day lives. And it's been phenomenal to see, you give them a good example or an easy example, like, for example, actually automating some of the marking that is done from the assessments that they put forward. And a lot of the students in my class are actually student assistants for other lecturers in different years. So what would then happen is they'd actually start taking some of the things that we've now taught them and explain to them about the process we follow, and they've actually started to implement that on their side of the fence as well. So seeing how they've brought all of this in holistically and how they're changing not only their own lives, but the lives of other lecturers as well has been phenomenal. It's been really good to see how that, downwards trajectory is really being kind of expanded into the different sides of the academic field. And I think that has a lot to do with the way that we see things move in the industry as well. So it's interesting.
Thank you, Jacqui. Well, Ebert, you've been around students for some time with Tacstone. What are students most interested in when finding out about automation through your guest lectures, which you give quite a few? Is it relatively a new discipline in academia?
Yeah, actually yesterday was indeed the last guest lecture, so that's pretty actual. So I think in general there are a couple of topics or a couple of reasons why they get so motivated. So I think the first thing is that like getting their hands dirty, so actually going into studio, building their first automation, seeing that it works often. That's definitely like a practical thing, whereas in a lot of studies it's more about theory. So I would say that's one. Secondly, obviously, automation and RPA and UiPath is on the verge of business and IT, right? So for IT students, it's something nice to look more on the business side. And for business students, it's a very cool thing to get a bit more IT and tech savvy. Then the third thing I would say is like the future of automation, right? So everyone is interested in AI. So showcasing them an automation where we use machine learning models via AI Center that gets everyone like yelling. And I would say lastly is also like jobs and vacancies. So talking about how there is a growing need for people like them to start a career as an RPA developer, that definitely motivates them as well.
Well, speaking about job vacancies, Andreas, we know Roboyo continues to expand the automation team every year all over the world. Which are the competencies, the abilities, and the learning paths you recommend for students that will help them eventually have a successful career in automation?
Well, I would say so can talk a bit about Roboyo, how we do it. So and our diversity of our employees, I would say, is quite huge. So we have individuals represented from almost all degree programs. And if I can give you some examples to shape the path and to come back to your question, Vladimir, I would start with a more consulting-driven, business-driven approach. So therefore, for instance, we work a lot with task mining, automation hub, where we identify processes. I think here it's important to understand financial figures, financial context. What is a business case? What is the impact or value of an automation? What is the return on invest? So that is a great path when you're focused more on the business side or consulting side, right? If it goes more into a data-driven or analytics approach, we have many people working in analytics and process mining or even insights to create the right dashboards to get the most out of the data. So that's super important. And as Ebert said, AI Center is a cool tool for people who are interested in machine learning and in understanding AI algorithm. Even when you add document understanding, right, it gets more and more important to get more out of unstructured data and so on. But also for IT people, I would say the platform is quite huge. So you can do a lot of stuff in studio, get along with your development skills. There's a huge stack for IT automation or even test automation comes into the market. So huge possibilities to shape your career, I would say. And I think there's room for everyone, at least. So if you have a clear plan and if you are interested in automation and technique, I would say then whatever fits best, choose the right track. Is it more business driven, more technical driven, and jump on it. I can promise, I would say it's never gets boring. And even if you feel unsure, I think you can get in contact with us. So Ebert, Jacqui, we are all MVPs and we know what's out there. Let us know, give us a ping, and we can answer your questions.
I like it how all of you decided when engaging with students to expand more than just basic RPA and automation, because our company has an enterprise-wide platform, and getting students familiar with more products, I think, makes them more employable and excited. So I would have a last question that I will ask each of you to expand a bit. As this technology, let's say, it's quite new in academia, and some professors, maybe they struggle with getting themselves trained before teaching it to their students. So how can other educators and teachers who are keen on delivering automation skills to their students be in contact with people like you? What kind of advice do you have for them to engage with professionals in the automation industry? Whoever wants to start first.
I think something that has generally helped me quite a lot, especially over the last year, is actually connecting with people on LinkedIn. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of visibility out there in terms of who are essentially the faces of UiPath, if you want to put it that way. And knowing who those people are and how to connect with them is not difficult on LinkedIn. I think that's a really good place to start. I mean, because a lot of our graduates are actually going to go into the industry, having them on LinkedIn and actually connect with us as well is also a really good thing, because then they can see what we're sharing with the community, what content are we putting out there, and then they can actually start, you know, creating their own content and sharing it with different students as well.
Yeah, I completely agree on that, Jacqui, what you said. I think LinkedIn is quite a pragmatic platform to get in contact with us as MVPs to discuss ideas, and it would be cool if more educators would use it to get in contact with us. I think there is room for improvement, to be honest. And even what we do is that we also offer some collaborations, doing projects together with universities. So I think even what you said, Ebert, next week we'll start with a document understanding and process mining, a lecture in Nuremberg to teach automation, and it's a win-win on both sides, right? So it's a quite cool topic for the students, and for us as a company, it's good as well to get the insights out of it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe to add to that, I also think I mean the local UiPath offices, they I think can also easily connect educators, teachers to implementation partners, right? Because I think every business partner is looking for new recruits, right? So everyone has an interest to do a guest lecture, do a workshop or whatever. And I would also recommend, I mean, if you already are an educator and teacher and you know of the UiPath platform, definitely also reach out to teachers at other institutions, right? So there's a lot of knowledge to share and a lot of motivation there to keep each other motivated. So yeah, definitely go out and share the automation story.
I think we live in a world where individuals start to challenge their employers, their governments, educators, etc. So learning automation skills, I think, helps students to develop a growth mindset and helps them to challenge the world around them. How do you think a student that just I don't know, embarks in a new career, fresh from the benches of university, joining an RPA center of excellence. How do you think students will have this kind of role in a company? What can they bring extra to the teams who already have automation in their operations?
Yeah, I could maybe
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
I can say something so that relates a bit more to students that join an organization that doesn't have an COE yet in place, right? So I see that happening a lot, that I give a GETS lecture and then a year later a student comes to me and says, yeah, I found a job. They didn't know about UiPath yet, so I had a good and a nice thing to in my first month build a simple demo. I showed it to my manager, and I directly got the opportunity to present to the management, something like that. So I think it's definitely there, like yeah, students are very excited, right? They're motivated. They have a lot of energy, and I think that's something that they can definitely bring into departments where they start working. Yeah, and people listen to students as well, right? They see that they are motivated and excited about something, and then they just give them often yeah, some space to showcase and to pilot. So yeah, I would say that helps a lot.
Yeah. I also would like to add, I think it's great when a student joins a company. I mean, there's always some kind of outside-in perspective, what they learned at university, new stuff, what can be included, what does work well. And I think they're not afraid of try and error stuff, right? So they try out new things. If it fails, yeah, no, doesn't care. We try it again and we continue. There's always a learning progress, and I think it's important to get that spirit into existing COEs, into existing automation centers, to always be top notch regarding automation. I would say that's super important.
Yeah, just to bring all of that together, I think something we've definitely seen that students bring into an environment which is quite unique is the innovation perspective. So because students are so eager and they're thinking about things differently and they're thinking about different problems, and their minds are quite wide open when they get into industry, it's really easy to pair them up with a more experienced person and kind of drive that innovation in a team. And the nice thing about having a student pairing with somebody who's a little bit more technical and a little bit more senior is actually teaching that student what the standards and best practices are to be able to implement their innovation. And that's kind of the difference that we've seen, you know, in industry. You've got your really technical, very experienced bunch of people who know the best practices. They know how to implement things, you know, down to the T. But the innovation side of things, I think, gets lost in the day-to-day business. So being able to bring that innovation in and then still have the technical skills to be able to execute on that and pretty much expand it and productize it, you know, for the longevity of a project or a COE, I think that is really, really powerful. It's something that I think a lot of companies actually rely quite heavily on.
Well, inspiring thoughts. I wish in my college time I would have interacted with people like you, to be honest. Yeah, so thanks a lot, Jacqui, Andreas, Ebert, for taking the time to share your experience with us. I do hope it will inspire others to pursue a meaningful career in automation and get a lot of confidence. And thank you, people in the audience, for spending the time with us. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Cheers, thanks.
Cheers.